So I'm Rosalind Panda, the CEO and founder of Rosalind Business Group LLC, and also a founder of OnPassive, the upcoming product that is live and it's coming. Just wait for it. So yeah, that's my short introduction about myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm Chris Houston, AKA Chris the Success Artist. I'm all about doing what I can to help people hit their goals and create their success stories. And I am just so grateful to be able to work with Rosalind on this project, Expand Your Network. So we're bringing a lot of ideas, a lot of fresh perspectives to you every time we do this show. And we want to thank you all for tuning in. And before we get started, I just want to say that it just really feels good to be doing something that you enjoy doing. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. We have to love what we do, and we love what we do, we love it, right? It's the vice versa. Then life is complete, and you can share your experiences, the beautiful energy that we put into doing something, and it all makes sense.
Right. So this week, I got to tell you, Rosalind. So this week I've been spending a little bit of time researching passion careers. And one of the things that stood out, and I wanted to kind of get your take on this, is that you can't really look for passion in your career because the passion is found within yourself. In other words, what they're saying is a lot of people are trying to find this career, find this perfect situation without fully understanding who they are and how they tick and the things that, they find important or find high value for. And it's saying basically you build that first, and then you strategically, work to develop or work to create or transition into the type of things that you enjoy. And one of the best examples that I saw was a person who has a passion for food and cooking, right? But they work in sales, but they're selling something that they're not passionate about. And so the strategy is, well, if you're in sales, that might be a matter of changing the industry. There's nothing wrong with doing sales, right? But maybe seeing how you can transition into maybe selling a product that's related to your passion. See, a lot of people think that, oh, well, I'm passionate about food. That means I need to be a chef. Well, no, because it may not translate. Like your love for food and things like that, that doesn't automatically say you'd make a great chef. It's about being strategic. Would you agree with that?
Totally. If you have love for food, that doesn't mean that you have to be chef, but you have to be involved with something related to food or some product where the passion or the explaining about it to the customer or the client, that comes spontaneously, right? It just becomes spontaneous. A person has a passion about athletics or a game. That doesn't mean the person has to be playing the game in the field itself, right?
Right.
Then there will be so many people on the field and it's not possible. It's not practical. Rather, they can be around somewhere. They're dealing every day to day. They're dealing something to do with athletics, or maybe they can be on the sales side in athletics, right? Or they join the team where the terms they're using or the thoughts they're having, it's relevant to athletics,
Right.
As you mentioned, there is an example like food, right? So they can talk about the food or the product. How can it goes to how can it go to customer and make the customer's life easier? You know what I try to say, or make it more interesting. And they are all the time involved with that kind of environment. Then it makes sense. It is the passion. Then they are living that passion spontaneous manner rather than just forcing themselves to live it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, one of the things that you know we've touched on is when you, let's say, you know, when you're doing this type of work, it's important to identify when there's something that you have to learn, right? It's important to identify, okay, here's the goal. And so let's get back to the title of this show and how it relates. Well, expand your network, right? Expand your network. So we're talking about passion right now. And so to expand your network, sometimes you do have to ask yourself, what do I need to learn? What do I need to learn in order to be more effective and successful at expanding my network? So with that being said, what if you have that situation where, you know, you have a person, maybe they have identified their passion, but maybe they're just not expressing it 100% in the work that they're doing every day. Do you have any tips on how they can approach having to learn a new skill?
Yeah,
even when it's uncomfortable, or they're uncertain about that direction.
Yeah, I would say that by nature, human being is curious, right? Every human being is curious. We have a tendency or the nature, we can adapt, we can learn a new skill if we put our determination and focus into. When it's a new skill or unknown path we are taking, having that mindset to visualize that we are end of the river already, end of the road, or end of the goal, that we are achieving it, and how will that feel? That visualization is extremely necessary. Rather than thinking about being overwhelmed and thinking about, oh my God, this is such a big task, or this is such a big learning I have to do, and I'm not ready mentally. Or even if I am ready mentally, but I do not know where to start from, or I can't see myself at the end of the tunnel or the road, right? So that having that visualization, what it does is it trains the mind in a different manner altogether, because human mind is pretty powerful. When we try to determine to do something, it becomes powerful, and we take it as a I would not say it's a challenge, but it's just a visualization or the optimistic goal that we set for ourselves. And when we see at the other end of it, and celebrating every little steps, every baby steps that we take along the way, it becomes wonderful. And we have to break it down, our steps, into smaller steps.
Yeah.
We have to set up some short-term goals, but also long-term goals. Like, what am I achieving, or what am I doing for myself after I learn the new skill? Am I going to be enjoying the skill that I'm learning? Am I going to be using that in my day-to-day life and feel fulfilled? Or am I just doing it for the sake of doing, right?
Right.
That mindset, when the person is like determined about it and they self-reflect, automatically they can see the happy person, their happy version of it at the end of it, right? And then instead of being overwhelmed, taking the baby steps and celebrating the little success every day, what they make, that is the main key here when we learn a new skill. Not overwhelming, but rather break it down to everyday success. Yeah, there might be, for example, if we are learning a new skill, we might have a time period to finish it up in that time period or deadline. In that case, people just become overwhelmed. But life is not ending there. Whatever they're learning, they have to be patient about it. A person have to be patient about when they are learning a new thing, or even day-to-day life. The person have to be patient. That is a really big skill everybody has to acquire. And that is also coming in the category of personal development, right?
Definitely.
That's a big skill they're teaching themselves, how to overcome their own mindset, which is stopping them or making like imposter syndrome, right? Or overwhelmed when they see something. So we don't have to consume everything in 1 day, 2 day, or 5 days, but rather we make it our short-term goal, but we see ourselves, our happy version, as I mentioned, that just creates that wonderful juice in us, in the human spirit, and it works for itself.
Yeah, I love it. I'm pulling out of there. You have to be intentional, intentional in what you want. And it sounds like you're saying too, don't focus right on what could go wrong. Focus on what can go right.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that anxiety comes from with a lot of people. A lot of people that I've talked to, they'll share what they want to do or what they want to achieve, but you could see the pressure building up when they discuss some of the steps that may be necessary, because they're questioning themselves, they're doubting themselves. And it's like, well, wait a minute, don't focus, right, on what you don't want to happen. Focus on what you want to happen.
Yeah.
And the reason why that makes sense is because if you focus on what you don't want to happen, then you're not going to achieve the result, right? If that's your focus, you're not going to get to the destination. If you focus on the outcome that you do want, yeah, there's all kind of setbacks and challenges and obstacles that may come up. But the truth is, you're so focused on what you want that you're going to get something good out of it anyway, because every opportunity to learn, right, is an experience that you can use for further growth.
Yeah.
Right. I'd rather have a stepping stone going up in the right direction than to be stepping down in a hole deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So yeah, that makes that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. And our human mind, it always attracts what we think more, isn't it? If we think about the success, if we think about overcoming something and visualizing the happy version of us, that changes the whole game. Thinking about what can go wrong, as you mentioned, and thinking about, because your actions are going to be, your mind is going to play the game with your actions, your words, what you think and how you approach things, because you're thinking you're not confident. The mind will play the game for the human being not being confident. So that's very dangerous when somebody's thinking like that. It's like already the person is giving up on that thing. But there are some things like the person is not interested to do so. It's always the person's preference as well. Some people can see that, no, they want to be where they are, they're not ready to like take that next step because they don't like to do that. That is also a personal choice. But still, things are changing. Always in life, things are changing. Even if one person is doing the same thing over and over again, still there are rules, still there are like new processes coming into the same job or what they are doing, right? That's also a typical like upgrade in their own life. But as you said, like thinking about thoughts of doing it and not being underconfident is like an essential key.
You know what, and I'm glad you brought that up. So let's clear it up for our viewers. We're not talking about people that they've already declared that this is not something that I'm interested in. That's fine, because at least you've made a decision, right? We're talking about those people who they want to go in a certain direction. They know that these are some actions that they have to take, but they're still allowing themselves to be held back. And that's the mental part, right? That's definitely the mental part. And then there's a whole nother dimension to this that I want to make sure I bring up, because we want to leave anybody out. Expand Your Network is about reaching everyone. So we want to make sure we cover everyone. Rosalind, I'm interested in hearing your views when you run across those people, because I run across this a lot. I've had certain conflicts with this, and I've also spoke to other people about this. When you're dealing with a person that has multiple interests, many interests, and the challenge there is having the patience, having the commitment, having the discipline, right, to stick a course or to stay on a certain course for a certain amount of time so that they can acquire a particular skill, right? Because what it is they got the wandering eye. It's like, well, wait a minute. If I spend days, weeks, and months focusing on this, what's going to happen to all of my other interests? How am I gonna grow? But what if an opportunity comes on this other thing that I like to do, and I'm not, I miss it because I'm over here, and then they start the process, the spiral, the what if spiral, and the so what do you have to say to people who fit that demographic?
That's a very good question for sure. So when one person has like multiple interests, I would say that making a parallel progress in a timely manner would keep everything in balance. Because sometimes we're just focusing on one thing and all other for days and days and months, and the other things are not progressing at all, then it's very hard for the person to catch up. But it's not true for all circumstances, also, because the nature of the work or the interest they are leaving on the side, they might be able to catch up later, because that work is like that. Every scenario, every use case is different. But I would say that if the person has multiple interests, the parallel progress is going to give them a sense of confidence. I'm not talking about being distracted or anything, but having a focus. When they're focusing on one thing, they are totally focusing on that, and then moving on to the next one. Parallel that they are doing, accomplishing the other one. But have to divide that as if we're taking care of every component with our own pace. So what that does is that gives us, a human being, a sense of confidence, a sense of fulfillment, which does not happen if other things are not taken care of. because that is very, very important for a human being to be able to feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Isn't that the essence of life, human life, right?
Yeah.
If we leave that key aside and we do not consider and think like a robot, then it's not going to make sense to the person, because every human being is different, how they think, how they accomplish things, how they feel fulfilled. So have to understand that how, when a person is self-reflecting, they have to think about what they really want to do and how much focus they want to put on all these other components. If something is missing, they're missing 1 day, something, that doesn't matter. 1 day, 2 day, 5 day, doesn't matter. They will catch up to it.
Yeah.
But just not being overwhelmed and putting a lot of pressure on ourselves, that just brings a lot of like our own spirit down.
Yeah.
Right. So optimism teaches us that kind of way of accomplishing or making a progress. To have that determination, that optimism, that it is going to happen. Think as if it's already happened.
Right.
And I'm just making the progress. I'm just connecting the dots forward. And then we'll make things happen. Have to think about 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. Have to sit and think about it. And then be in a balanced mind. We have to parallelly progress in all the components. And then the person with multiple interests, they can be fulfilled. Because if we think, because there will be external factors which will try to stop that person or create an obstacle in the person's progress, right? Where it's not very wonderful, it's not very good for the person to be in a zone where he's not fulfilled. Right? Because that's the unique quality, what the person has, the multiple interest the person has, that makes him unique. Absolutely. Because of those.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And that's what we're saying here, folks. Do not make the mistake of thinking that you are at a disadvantage because you have multiple interests. You are actually at an advantage. What Rosalind is saying is that you have to be strategic. You have to be strategic in how you use your time. And I love the term that you use, parallel, right?
Parallel progress,
parallel growth. I can speak to this a little bit because I've dealt with this, in coaching clients in the past, who deal with multiple interests. We've had to do it with ourselves, right? You're managing multiple interests. I'm managing multiple interests. So we could definitely speak to this and offer some support in this area. One thing that I can say for sure that helps is make the calendar your friend and not your enemy. Some people can look at a calendar and look at the dates and the days and the weeks and the months, and they get anxious because they're like, oh my God, I got all of these things that I'm interested in doing, and the days are flying and I'm not focusing on this and I'm not focusing on that. All that does is creates a downward spiral. Instead, look at it. What's your favorite sport, right? They have an in season and they have an off season. Some athletes, right? And I use sports because sports is something that's relatable, right? If you don't play it, you at least know it, you see it. Some athletes have many other passions, right, than the sport that they decided to make their career. So how do they manage that? Well, for those 3 months out of the year that they're playing that sport, they're totally dedicated to that sport. And then when the summer comes or when the off season comes, they go somewhere where they can play golf or tennis or swim or, run their many different, businesses or whatever it is. It's the calendar is their friend, right? You strategically creating a segment, right, of the annual calendar or the weekly calendar or the day, whatever your personal situation is, where you make room for those other interests. And now what Rosalind is saying is your process or your template is not going to look like everyone else's, but there is a way for you to make parallel progress according to what your interests are. So I think that's powerful. And remember this, I wrote it down here. Fulfillment equals freedom.
Yeah.
To be fulfilled equals freedom, right? To not be fulfilled, it makes you feel like you're in a box. It makes you feel like you're somewhere that you don't want to be. And what we're here to do is to help you, remember, expand. We're here to help you expand. That's what this is all about. Expand your network. That means expand personally, mentally, physically, professionally, every lead that you could think of. That's that. That is what we are here to do. So with that being said, Rosalind, I do want to just mention to our viewers, I created this tool. And if I haven't, I know it's been a while since I mentioned it to you, but it's called the Time Freedom Action Plan. It's just a simple tool that I had created just to help, people stay organized using the different days of the week. So I'm going to give you a quick example. I like weekly. Some people like monthly. Some people like quarterly. Some people like annually. Annually is kind of a big chunk, right? It's okay to have annual sort of measurement, but you also want to break it down into smaller pieces. I like weekly because there's so many components of my week, from the kids, from family, from work, from creative time, so to give you an example, Monday for me is always identify or verify my commitments. Because here's the thing, if my commitments have changed, then how I plan the course of my week must change. That's kind of how I look at it. And it's also a checker for me. Every Monday, I start off saying, hey, what are the top things that I'm committed to? And then here's a question for those of you who are, find it difficult to sort of identify with things that you find important or your passions or whatever. Here's a question that you can ask yourself. This is a powerful question that will clear up a lot of that. What am I most committed to doing each and every day, even if I don't feel like it?
Yeah.
Even if I don't feel like it, what are those things that I'm still committed to? I recommend you just write a list. Whatever those things are, write a list. Somewhere in that list, you're going to find your passion. You're going to find information about yourself. You might even find your next course of action to reach that next level of success.
Yes.
This is a very serious question. I hope you all, got a lot out of this question and also our conversation thus far. But I just wanted to share that because that's been a powerful tool for me. So I hope, some of our viewers here, can take that and just hopefully that was a breakthrough for at least one person out there.
No, of course. That's I would really agree that every week when we think, what is a priority? That's priority. Like, what is that something we will do a person will must do as a big part of their day, out of their 24 hours. They know that if they don't do that, then their life will change or in a bad spot. So that is give that to high priority to that. But some people are not doing like at this present or something. They are doing something else which they don't want to do. They don't have any option yet. But not anybody else can create their path but themselves. So working for the future, where you don't have to do what you're doing right now, working towards that future is very necessary. If we just think and dream about it, it's not going to work, right? We have to work towards it, but not being pressured, but thinking about in a balanced mindset. Like, what is my priority? What are the things I need to really focus on? So I accomplish as a human being. I do that every day. And then what is the progress I can put it on the side, which I can do, I will do, must, but with my pace, and it's not going to put me in a bad spot if I don't do it that day. No? And it's totally on the person to judge the situation, the scenario, the use case, or their priorities, because everybody's priority is different, right? And we have to be just intelligent about it and be more mature about it. Like, if you're thinking about the future and the present, and we have to just connect the dots in a very intelligent way, strategic manner, as you said, strategic way.
Yeah. You know, I opened up my, you know how you open up your social media account and before you get to your profile or whatever, there's already like videos shooting at you in the feed. So there was this one, and I don't have the link for it. Some of you may know what I'm talking about or have seen it, but I think it clearly, it's a great illustration of what we've been talking about. So they were at a bowling alley. I guess a family was at a bowling alley, and this little girl, maybe she was 5, 6, whatever the case, she was so young that when she rolled the ball down the alley, right? The ball was going so slow, and the ball drifted to the left, drifted all the way to the right, and then drifted all the way back to the left. Now, and I'm looking in the little frame, and I'm seeing all of these people like focusing on this ball, right? Like wondering, okay, she did it. I mean, that's one. First of all, let's look at the fact that that's one thing to celebrate, right? She got it started. So like, I'm looking, and it's getting closer and closer to those pins. And it's still drifting, closer and closer to those pins. Lo and behold, it hits one pin, right? That created the domino effect into another pin, and then another pin, and then another pin. Before you know it, she threw a strike. She threw a strike. And that whole image right there is exactly what we're saying. You might not be fast. You might not be perfect. You might not be strong. You might not even believe you can do it. But if you can keep your vision, right, on what that end result is, what the outcome is, right, you just might surprise yourself. And for that moment, what she created was the anticipation, not the anticipation of failure, but the anticipation of success. Because here's the thing, the closer and closer that ball got to those pins, you could see people like, oh my, could it be? It just might happen. And here's the thing, a lot of us stop way before we get to that half point. Don't worry about the speed. Don't worry about the direction, right? You might drift over to the left. You might drift over but as long as you're going forward, you're going to get there. And I think that right there for me, I don't know if everybody that viewed that read into it as much as I did, but I thought it was powerful because you went through those mental cycles of, oh, oh, she tried. Bless her little heart. Oh, it looks like it's going in the gutter. No, it didn't. It didn't go. It kept going forward. And I'm going to send you that link when I see it again, or maybe I'll search for it or whatever with hashtag. But if I see it, I'm going to send you that link. She threw a strike, and so that's what we're here to do today. We're here to just encourage you, motivate you. We want you to, hit that goal. That's what it is. That's what it's about. Hit that goal. I just thought that was a powerful image. That's all.
Yeah, it's small action, what we see in real life, that changes the mindset. I would say when I was a kid, in our school, we were taught integral education. Integral education means holistic education. You do meditation, you do extracurricular activities, you do your studies, math, science, physics, geography, history, literature, everything. Speaking, singing, playing games, gardening, gaming, everything. And then where I was studying, why it was necessary that there was a big example that was written in the book on whose name the school was established on, based on. So what she was saying, her name is Shrima. So Shrima once noticed the ants, the small ants, when they follow each other, one after another. And they can carry so much bigger, heavier object than their own weight. But they are not, they're so disciplined that just one follows another. And she understood how self-discipline matters in life. So just an example just a similar example, what you mentioned, the focus, how she was trying to do the goal, and you got it that, how about we just focus on the outcome and the goal where we're trying to hit, instead of thinking, oh, it's not going to go this way. Why would you even try? Right?
Yeah.
So that's just, I've given an example, like how real time things, when what we observe them and what we learn from them, and then apply into our real life actions or implementations, and they really help so much.
Right. And that was just copying what you see, right? That little girl said, hey, I know what the goal is, to knock those pins down. She didn't stop to say, oh, I'm not strong enough. Oh, I don't know how to roll it straight. Oh, I see the gutter there, and the gutter, it might go in the gutter. She said, hey, I'm going to push this thing the best I can, and I'm just going to watch and see what happens. And that's what she did. And the thing about those ants, since you brought it up, you know what? You just hit on another thing. Do you know how intentional ants are? Think about it. You're talking about these small microscopic insects that no goal is too big. You cannot convince an ant or a group of ants working together that they can move an object.
Yeah. They
will huddle everybody around and get in position, and next thing you know, you see that cookie walking across the floor. So hey, and look at the size of their brain and look at ours, right? Can't let anything stop us. We cannot let anything stop us, especially now. Look, we're in 2022 right now. We can't let anything stop us. From this point on, we cannot let anything stop us. So I'm with that 100%. So check this out. Before we close out, I wanted to bring in front of us a few of the points that Ash Mufareh, he's the CEO of Unpassive, right? Some key points that he mentioned during one of the founder meetings that I wanted to bring up, and just to kind of get your take on it, okay? And because it ties right into what we've been talking about today. The first one is, he said that if you are in the wrong place and you don't like what you're doing, it's a tragedy.
Change it.
Huh?
Yeah.
He just went straight there. I was like tragedy.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like when people, you know, say things in a certain way, it hits different, right? I mean, he didn't end it soft like, oh well, you know, that's just bad. He was like, it is a tragedy, meaning you know, your life is being smothered, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, one of the things that we like to do is just discuss these things and give you the tools, give you the mindset to see that there's always light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was powerful. And then the other thing is 100 days. And you just mentioned small action. So this one is 100 days, right? 100 days. Give yourself 100 days, even if you only take 5 minutes each day to get closer to that goal. But commit to being repetitious, discipline. You know, don't do, you know, on one day and skip 2 weeks and then try it again. No, you have to be consecutive. So his, you know, a lot of, I mean, we've heard a lot of, you know, some people say 30, 60, 90. He likes 100 days, which, you know, I think that's a good number. What about you?
I would say that's a good number, but some people, what they do is they set the goal and they think, oh, in 100 days or 3 months, I didn't succeed what I expected out of it, right? And or 6 months or 1 year, and they give up. They say that's it, because they're comparing others also to their own success, and the numbers somehow, those are short-term goals, but the game is not to give up that time. Right. Think about where you were 100 days back, where you are right now. Whatever progress the person does, it's his progress or her progress. It's not anybody else's. So 100, I would say that's a wonderful magic number. But that's just a small milestone. It's like you're going towards your destination, but you have specific milestones, small ones. Mm-hmm. So hit one milestone, celebrate it. Oh my God, I did so much progress. And then the next milestone, next 100 days, next 500 days, next 200 days. Right. So it's just a milestone. But don't just box yourself like, oh, I have to be successful. Otherwise, I'm nowhere. I'm just going to give up. Right? Things take time. Bigger things take a larger amount of time. You have to have that mindset.
Yeah. What you accomplish in that first 100 days is a reflection of how comfortable you were in doing that anyway. Right? Because the thing is, what you're doing is you're getting better at sticking to your habits or creating a new habit. So what you do in that first 100 days, right? That's just scratching the surface of what you're going to do the next 100 days. You're going to get better and better. Like you said, each milestone, the goal is to get better, more effective, more efficient each time you do it. And you're going to be getting closer to that goal. So I thought that was great. Don't underestimate small actions because you want, he even talked about how constant singular drops of water can break down the biggest mountain or the biggest stone. And so when you think about that, it's like, hey, don't take any of your small efforts for granted. Be consistent.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then
the effort also, not every day might go the same way, because we're human beings. We might fall sick. We might have personal things to take care. But instead of thinking, why is it happening? Why am I falling sick? Why is it not happening this way? Because we think as human beings, we are happy when it goes how we want it to go, or we just don't celebrate or think as if the whole world is ending there. Right. Things we did not progress as we wanted, right? So having that optimistic mindset when things are not going how we wanted it to go, that is the key of a mature person. Having that characteristic makes us a wonderful human being, I would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just like, well, you know, the analogy that we gave last time is you set your GPS, right? When you get in your car, you set your GPS and you expect to get to your destination, right? But what's not on the GPS is that flat tire that you're about to get in the next mile.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. That flat tire is not going to stop you from getting to your destination. Yes, it's a setback. Yes, it's another obstacle that you have to deal with. But whether it's a tow truck, whether it's AAA, whether it's calling a friend, whether it's getting on the bus, getting on the train, whether it's checking into a hotel and getting there a day later, it doesn't matter because you're still going to get to that destination if you keep going. I have never met a person who had a flat tire and then 3 years later, they were still.
Talk about the flat tire.
Standing by the car trying to figure out how to get out of that situation. You know, somehow the car ends up gone and they end up where they were supposed to be, right? So that's, man, that is what we're talking about. Expand your network. It's expanding you, expanding your mind. Like, I'm pumped now. I'm pumped. I'm in a whole different energy space than I was when we first started. This is crazy. So I hope you all understand what we're trying to bring to you each week or each episode, each time that we do this show. Eventually, Rosalind, let's tell them what we're planning to do. Eventually, we are planning to invite guests. We are planning to have a small audience live here with us to kind of chime in and ask questions. What we wanted to do was kind of introduce ourselves to you all so that you know who we are and get a feel for what type of information that we wanted to bring to you each week or each time that we do the show. And we hope that with these two that we've done so far, you can slowly begin to get an understanding of what we're all about. So I think once again, this was a great effort, a great show, and a success. Rosalind, did you have any closing things? I think I'm so satisfied with what we were able to accomplish today.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of stuff, it's like a holistic information that we discussed around, and certain things and examples and real-time experiences, what we are experiencing from outside, and bring those into the conversation to give people the real-time experience they can also visualize and understand through. And that is pretty cool. Yeah, I love it, how we accomplished it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely going to help a lot of people. I'm looking forward to that. That's the whole gist and the intention behind sharing this information with others.
Definitely. Well, I really don't have much to add this time. I'll just say this. Keep your focus on where you want to go. Keep your focus on where you want to go.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And then be more human being, more accepting of things like in its human life. Things happen, but we have to have that attitude. It's all about attitude, having an optimistic attitude, and it will happen. With that energy, we carry forward ourselves, our spirits.
Yes. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for tuning in with us for another show, Expand Your Network. I'm Chris Houston, aka Chris, the Success Artist.
And I'm Rosalind Panda, the CEO, founder of Rosalind Business Group LLC. See you guys next time.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.